The night the idea surfaced had been like any other. David, the eldest of 4 siblings at 31, sat with his younger brother Daniel, 28, and their 2 sisters, Sarah, 26, and Lisa, 23, in their parents' home. It was one of those rare evenings when they were all together, reminiscing and teasing each other about childhood memories. Their father, a kind and hardworking man, had just turned 60 that year, and their mother, 57, still radiated the same warmth she always had. "You know what would be fun?" Sarah said, stirring her drink with a mischievous smile. "A DNA test." David raised a brow. "Why?" "Just for laughs," she shrugged. "I mean, let's see how much of Dad's genes we got." The suggestion was made in jest, not out of suspicion. They had grown up in a loving home where their father had worked tirelessly to provide for them. There had never been a reason to doubt anything. A few days later, they ordered the test kits and swabbed their cheeks. It was supposed to be a fun little experiment until the results arrived 2 weeks later. David was the first to open his email. At first, he skimmed through the data, expecting to see the predictable genetic breakdown. But as his eyes scanned the results, something felt off. He read it again and again. His stomach dropped. "Guys, come here," he called out, his voice unnervingly tight. One by one, they gathered around his laptop. "What is it?" Daniel asked. David turned the screen toward them. "Look." Silence fell over the room. Lisa was their father's biological daughter. The rest of them, David, Daniel, and Sarah, were not. "No," Sarah whispered, shaking her head. That has to be a mistake." Daniel grabbed his phone. "We're doing this again. Another facility." A week later, the second test arrived. The results were identical. Their father, the man who had spent his entire life raising them, sacrificing for them, loving them, was not their biological father. The air in the room felt suffocating. "What do we do?" Lisa asked, her voice barely above a whisper. No one had an answer, but one thing was certain. Their mother had a lot to explain. Their mother sat stiffly on the living room couch, hands clenched together in her lap. The room was eerily quiet, the weight of their discovery pressing down like a storm about to break. David stood before her, arms crossed, his siblings beside him. "Mom," he said, his voice measured but tight, "we took a DNA test." Their mother's face twitched. Sarah leaned forward. "Twice." Their mother swallowed hard, gripping the fabric of her dress. "And what did you find out?" "You know what we found," Daniel said sharply. "Dad isn't our biological father. Except for Lisa, the rest of us, we aren't his." The silence stretched unbearably. Then their mother's shoulders slumped, and tears welled in her eyes. "You weren't supposed to find out," she whispered. David's stomach twisted. "So it's true?" A tear slipped down her cheek as she nodded. "Who?" Sarah's voice cracked. "Who is our real father?" Their mother's lips quivered. "He's gone. He died years ago, before I met your father." A sharp intake of breath filled the room. David clenched his fists. "You mean to tell us that all this time, Dad has believed we were his? That he spent his entire life raising children who aren't biologically his, without knowing?" Their mother sobbed. "I loved him. I still do. I chose him. He chose you. Please don't tell him. If he finds out, it will break him." The betrayal felt like a knife to the heart. Sarah's eyes burned with fury. "You let him give up his dreams, work day and night for us, suffer for us, while keeping this from him." "I had no choice," their mother cried. "I couldn't tell him. He loved you too much, and I loved him too much to take that away." Lisa sat frozen, the only one of them truly their father's daughter. Guilt flickered across her face. David turned away, his body trembling. For the first time in his life, he wasn't sure if he could ever forgive their mother. And for the first time, he wasn't sure if silence was the right choice. The secret felt like a boulder pressing down on David's chest. Every time he looked at his father, an overwhelming wave of guilt threatened to consume him. Their father continued to be the same man he had always been, kind, selfless, and utterly devoted to his children. He still hummed while fixing things around the house, still called them his greatest blessings, and still beamed with pride when speaking about them. And yet he had no idea. David watched him one evening as he watered the plants in the backyard. "You've been quiet lately," his father remarked. David forced a smile. "Just thinking, Dad," his father chuckled. "That's a dangerous thing to do too much of." David swallowed the lump in his throat. Lisa, despite being their father's only biological child, was struggling too. "I feel like I stole something from you all," she admitted one night. "I have his blood, but you all have his love." Daniel had thrown himself into work, avoiding home as much as possible. Sarah had started staying at a friend's place. And David, he was drowning. His mother had pleaded with them to keep the truth hidden, but every time he looked at his father, David wondered, was silence really the best thing? Or was it the cruelest lie of all? David's days became a never-ending cycle of guilt and anger. The burden of the truth weighed on him, a constant reminder that the man he had always looked up to was living a lie. His father still smiled at them with unconditional love, still called them my kids with so much pride. But now every word, every hug, every sacrifice felt like a cruel joke. One evening, as David sat alone in the living room, his father walked in, his face full of warmth.